Hi guys, I'm Priyanka Chopra and you're watching VNN.
Hello everyone, my name is Pragya Devan and you're watching The Weekly Show. This week on the show, we bring you the latest on Omicron, which has now been declared as a variant of concern by WHO. New travel restrictions across the globe, and now the world leaders react to this new variant. As Jack Dorsey bids goodbye to Twitter, Parag Agarwal joins the list of popular Indian origin tech bosses. We tell you why Indian techies have become the preferred choice for global tech giants. Bidding wars in GTA real estate are more prominent than ever. Check our exclusive talk with realtor Parveen Arora, who explains how to deal with bidding wars while house hunting. With flurries starting in some regions and piling up in others, ski and snowboard enthusiasts are getting ready to be back on the slopes. Paul Pinchbeck, president of Canadian Ski Council, weighs in on safety protocols and new programs for skiers in Canada. CNN celebrated anchor Chris Cuomo is under trouble again. CNN has indefinitely suspended anchor Cuomo after details emerged about how he helped his brother, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, face allegations of sexual harassment earlier this year. The network says that the documents released by New York's Attorney General indicated that Chris Cuomo took a greater level of involvement in his brother's efforts than CNN executives previously knew. Moving on, the Women's Tennis Association suspends tournaments in China over concerns about player Peng Shuai, calling it one of the strongest public stands against China taken by a sports body. WTA President Steve Simon says that this move will cost them millions of dollars, but they will support the right thing. Peng Shuai, who is a Grand Slam doubles champion, dropped out of public view after raising the allegations about former Vice Premier Zhang Guoli on social media posting that was quickly taken down by Chinese authorities. And this week, Barbados became the world's newest republic. Several leaders, dignitaries and artists, including Prince Charles and Rihanna, attended the ceremony that began late Monday in a popular square where the statue of British Vice Admiral Horatio Nelson from National Hero Square was removed last year amid a worldwide push to erase symbols of oppression. During the ceremony, the Prime Minister awarded pop star Rihanna the honor of National Hero of Barbados. She was bestowed with the title The Right Excellent, the first time in more than 20 years that Barbados has given that honor, with the last person being former cricket player Garfield St. Auburn Sobers. A total of 11 people have now been honored since 1998. Let's start with the biggest news that concerns the globe right now, the Omicron variant. While the Delta variant is still dominant globally, scientists now race to understand the Omicron variant. Omicron, which was first discovered in South Africa, has now been declared as a variant of concern by WHO. And the world leaders are now stepping in to stop the spread of this variant. Our next report will tell you more. While the world still battles with the Delta variant of COVID-19, another coronavirus variant called Omicron has now emerged and has already started spreading across the globe.
At least 23 countries from 5 of 6 WHO regions have now reported cases of Omicron, and we expect that number to grow.
The severity of COVID-19 and its Delta variant is well known, and now the world leaders are acting quickly to stop the spread of Omicron.
As always, I must stress this, as always with a new variant, there are many things that we just cannot know at this early stage. But our scientists are learning more hour by hour. And it does appear that Omicron spreads very rapidly and can be spread between people who are double vaccinated. There is also a very extensive mutation, which means it diverges quite significantly from previous configurations of the virus.
Obviously, we're watching very, very closely the situation with Omicron. We know that even though Canada has very strong border measures now, we need vaccinations to come to Canada. We need pre-departure tests. We do testing on arrival. There may be more we need to do, and we'll be looking at it very carefully.
Sooner or later, we're going to see cases of this new variant here in the United States. We'll have to face this new threat just as we faced those that come before it.
The Omicron virus was first discovered in South Africa. The South African government was quick enough to report it to the World Health Organization. To stop the spread of Omicron virus, countries across the globe are now banning any kind of travel from South Africa.
The very day the World Health Organization identified the new variant, I took immediate steps to restrict travel from countries in Southern Africa. But while we have that travel restrictions can slow the speed of Omicron, it cannot prevent it. But here's what it does. It gives us time. Gives us time to take more actions.
So yesterday we took steps to protect the UK against the variant coming here from southern African countries, and earlier today added 4 more countries to the red list.
While the WHO chief appreciates the quick response major countries gave to this new variant, he does not support the blanket ban on traveling to South Africa.
We call on all countries to take rational, proportional risk reduction measures in keeping with international health regulations. This includes measures to delay or reduce the spread of the new variant, such as screening of passengers prior to traveling and/or upon arrival, or the application of quarantine to international travelers. Blanket travel bans will not prevent the international spread of Omicron, and they place a heavy burden on lives and livelihoods.
WHO has declared Omicron as a variant of concern, and thus it is important to understand what is Omicron.
So Omicron B11529 is named as a variant of concern because it has some concerning properties. This variant has a large number of mutations, and some of these mutations have some worrying characteristics. Right now, there are many studies that are underway. There's a lot of work that is ongoing in South Africa and in other countries to better characterize the variant itself in terms of transmissibility, in terms of severity, and any impact on our countermeasures like the use of diagnostics, therapeutics, or vaccines.
While the scientists are doing their research on Omicron, the only advice WHO is giving to people across the globe is to stop the transmissibility of this virus.
What's really important as an individual is to lower your exposure. The measures, these proven public health measures, have never been more important. Distancing, wearing of a mask, making sure that it's over your nose and mouth with clean hands, making sure you avoid crowded spaces, be in rooms where there's good ventilation, and when it's your turn, get vaccinated.
Cases related to the Omicron variant are slowly spreading across the globe, including Canada. Dr. Kieran Moore, Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health, held a news conference to discuss the Omicron variant of COVID-19 in the province.
Yesterday, it was announced that Ontario has confirmed 2 cases of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Both cases were reported in individuals in Ottawa with recent travel from Nigeria. Ottawa Public Health is working diligently on conducting case and contact management, and both individuals are in isolation.
Print, digital, radio, and video. You choose the media. We are the Voice Media Group. Toronto Public Health has declared a COVID-19 outbreak with a staff member and 4 inmates testing positive at the provincially run Toronto East Detention Centre. TPH confirmed on Twitter that the outbreak is being driven by the Omicron variant. The Public Health Unit says that it is working closely with the province to minimize the risk to other staff and inmates. Talking about the daily COVID-19 cases in Ontario, the province reported 1,031 new cases of COVID-19 today, the most on a single day since May 30th, when the 3rd wave of the pandemic was slowly receding. The 7-day average of daily cases has climbed to 866, up 21% from last Friday and its highest point since early June. And Toronto's biggest basketball fan, Nav Bhatia, is getting a documentary made about his extraordinary life, simply titled Superfan, the Nav Bhatia Story. The documentary premieres today on CBC at 9 p.m. EST and tells the story of how the Hyundai dealership owner became one of the Raptors' most iconic figures. Prior to the release, Nav Bhatia organized 3 movie premieres for media and guests in Vancouver, Toronto and Ottawa. And the coveted event was attended by politicians, actors and creme de la creme of Canada. At 37, Parag Agrawal becomes the youngest and the 12th Indian CEO to reign over global tech giants. As Jack Dorsey resigns from Twitter, Parag takes up one of the most coveted jobs at the Silicon Valley. But there have been other big names from India who took over global tech companies. Our next report will tell you why Indian techies are ruling the tech world abroad. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey steps down as head of the social media platform Twitter that he co-founded a decade and a half ago. Parag Agrawal, a board member and former chief technology officer, has now been appointed as CEO effective immediately. Now, Parag, who's a 37-year-old immigrant from India, doesn't come from the usual ranks of celebrity CEOs. He has been working with Twitter for the past 10 years and has emerged from behind the scenes to take over one of the most coveted jobs of Silicon Valley. But this is not the first time an Indian CEO has been hired to rescue international companies. This is Pragya Devan, and in this video, we will talk about the factors that contribute to the rise of Indian CEOs. India is a diverse country and many people from the world of art, tech, medicine and engineering are making a mark for themselves on a global level. Let's talk about the biggest names who represent India on the world map. Shantanu Narayan is a Chief Executive Officer of American computer software company Adobe Inc. from 2005. Satyanarayan Nadella is the Executive Chairman and CEO of Microsoft. Ajaypal Singh Banga is the Executive Chairman of MasterCard. Puneet Ranjan, who has served as the Chief Executive Officer of Deloitte since 2015. And not to forget Sundar Pichai, CEO of Alphabet Inc. and its subsidiary Google. And there are other names too from India that are dominating international markets. I'm going to tell you why there is a demand for Indian CEOs across the globe. Acceptance of uncertainty. India is a diverse country with a population of over 1 billion people. We have dozens of languages, cultures, traditions, cuisines and even weathers. India has the world's largest youth population of 365 million. The labor is readily available and people understand the importance of livelihood and money. From morning tea to evening supper, the life of an average Indian is full of hardships and struggles, but we take it on the chin and accept the uncertainty and continue with what life offers. This ability to be patient in the most resilient times and come up with innovation is what many international companies look for their leader. The ability to look into the future. In India, almost everyone has a plan B. People are ready to face challenges if a plan doesn't work out. They can predict what's shaping our marketplace. No wonder there are many Indian immigrants who set up successful businesses in the foreign lands. Getting the numbers right. Indians in general are good with numbers. No, I'm not going to quote examples of Ramanujan or Shakuntala Devi. But kids in India start learning multiplication from early childhood, which helps them to get very good ability of mental math. As they grow older and go to high school, they dive into math formulas and rules. The Indian education method depends on the process of learning and practicing on a regular basis. Education. Indian immigrants are among the most highly educated in the US. According to Pew, 77.5% had a bachelor's degree or higher in 2016, the highest share of any top Asian country compared to 31.6% of the native-born Americans. If you take the example of Sundar Pichai and Parag Agrawal, they are graduates of the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, a group of engineering colleges with acceptance rate reportedly below 2%.
I think, it's one of the great things about India is this tremendous interest in education. People talk about it all the time. Most parents aspire for this for their children. And so I think it's a great foundation we have as a country. I think education needs to evolve and change just like with everything else. In my experience growing up here, I think there's a lot of emphasis on, spending time on the books and, learning things academically.
Now, there are other factors too, like diversity, which is getting limelight in the West. The ability to adapt and strict parenting, they all contribute in shaping the desirable candidate for top-notch jobs across the globe. Needless to say, with all these abilities and many opportunities coming up, this is the best time for Indians to shine bright on the world map. The holiday season is here and the ski enthusiasts across Canada are ready for the slopes. This week, I caught up with Canadian Ski Council's president, Paul Pinchbeck, about the current scenario in the skiing business, safety protocols to follow and much more. Listen in.
Mr. Pinchbeck, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. It's absolutely my pleasure to be here.
So, the holiday season has begun, and with flurries starting in some regions and piling up in others, ski and snowboard enthusiasts are getting ready to get back on the slopes. And though it is the time to celebrate and have fun, safety is important too. So is it safe to be out on the slopes now?
Yes, we believe so. Ontario, Canada's ski areas have worked diligently over the last 2 winters to make sure that we're ready to welcome guests in a very safe manner. In fact, although Ontario resorts were closed, that was no fault of their own last year. It was true that we did not see one documented case of skier to skier or skier to guest, skier to employee transmission of COVID-19 across all of North America.
Mm-hmm. So, what's the current state of skiing in Canada?
Well, the current state is actually fairly healthy, although revenues were down because so many of our business units, whether that was restaurants or ski lessons or other things that you come to expect on a typical holiday, were closed or severely limited last year due to the precautions that we took. The actual participation number, the people who went out last year, was very strong. We didn't have any international travelers, and yet we did very well domestically. And when you factor in the fact that Ontario probably lost 2.5 million skier visits last year while it was closed for the 7 weeks, we probably set a new domestic participation record. So demand is strong. Safety is also strong. We're looking forward to a good season.
So, I was reading some reports, and it's like, several skiing resorts in Canada, they are facing this massive shortage of staff. So, and the skiing season is already here. So do you think this will impact the excitement Canadians have for the sport?
Honestly, I don't think it will impact the excitement that Canadians have initially for the sport. I think where it will impact and will hurt us is Canadians' desire to make that next visit and the visit after that. And most Canadians ski between 6 and 6.5 days a year on average. Of course, the half days because it's an average. I would like to see that increase. The goal of my organization, the Canadian Ski Council, is to add an extra day to that participation rate over the next 5 years. And certainly if one can't enjoy a nice cup of coffee, can't get a ski lesson, can't get their rental equipment in a timely fashion, that all adds up to a barrier for people coming out to that for that next visit. We're going to always operate in the most safe manner. So the emphasis is on ski patrol and on lifts and things like that. But truly, your breakfast in the morning might be a bit slower than usual.
Weekly Voice, leader in South Asian news.
Yeah. So, are there any recent changes in the state of skiing in Canada?
In terms of changes, no. We've certainly rolled out quite a bit of our COVID operating protocols and worked very, very closely with both public health at the provincial and, of course, at the regional level. So there are some minor variations in how everyone will approach skiing regionally this year. For example, the province of Quebec has instituted a government-mandated mandatory double vaccination policy to access the ski hills. Quebec skiers are dealing with that right now, and so far it does not seem to have blunted enthusiasm for being on the slopes. The rest of Canada will also have similar varying restrictions. I think the biggest thing for skiers and snowboarders in Canada that's changed over the last 2 years is the need to do two things. Know what's happening before you go. So check that website, call that resort your favorite place so that you know exactly what's happening, and plan ahead. And this is related to that know before you go. Buy your tickets and your products in advance, because oftentimes many resorts will not sell day of lift tickets this year. They will only be booking online, and that's simply for contact tracing and to make sure that we can manage crowding.
Mm-hmm. And are there any safety protocols that guests should expect this season?
Well, the truth is, it's going to look a lot like we would normally experience if we went to a shopping mall for the holiday period, or for over to a restaurant. Indoor dining, indoor facilities will be required to be to show proof of double vaccination and appropriate ID. One will be wearing a mask. One will be asked to maintain physical distancing wherever possible. Outdoors in Ontario and for much of Canada, outdoors is going to be less emphasis on masks and physical distancing, because quite frankly, we know more about the virus now as a country. We know that the outdoor environment is safer and poses less of a risk of transmission. And so we've been able to relax our restrictions there so that people can get out, enjoy their full day on the slopes, but we're maintaining the inside precautions where it's so very important.
And what are the easy and economical ways to start skiing regardless of the age?
Oh, regardless of the age, you can start skiing at any age, or snowboarding for that matter. That's actually, what I provide. The services my organization is asked to provide to the industry by Canada skiers is to create that pathway into the sport. And so we have a website called goskiinggosnowboarding.ca. And that website itself provides a great deal of information and know-how and tips and tricks on how to get into the sport and how to enjoy it, because our sport can be a bit daunting to get into. It's a complex sport, but it's very fun and very social. One of the things that we'll be rolling out very shortly is a product that we call Never Ever Days, which is ideal as a beginner tool. It's a lift ticket, a lesson, and a rental, plus a whole bunch of other activities for the day at participating ski areas around the country. The idea of this $25 package is to give you that first sample of what skiing and snowboarding are like and give you a chance to enjoy it. And then we send you offers based on the resort that you participate at that are designed to bring you back, because we do believe that it takes more than one visit to become a skier and snowboarder. So that is a fantastic way to get into the sport. In terms of equipment and things like that, I always recommend that you look into specialty shops, and many specialty shops will sell your old equipment at a discount. Even clothing, things like that. The ski areas themselves are also doing seasonal rentals now, so you can then affordably rent a set of equipment, skis or snowboard, etc., for the entire season, and that really helps lower the initial cost. So there's lots of tips and tricks. Just ask. We're happy to help.
And are there any other programs available by your council which can help people who are interested in this sport?
Yes, we run another program aimed at families, and what we do is that we allow 9 and 10-year-old children to acquire something called the grade 4 and 5 snow pass, which entitles the child to 2 visits at each of the participating ski areas in Canada over the 2-year lifespan of the program. So someone could visit about 200 times over the next 2 years. I would like to try that and do that, but it's a great way for kids and their families to get into the sport. We lower the overall cost. We know that skiing and snowboarding is one of the greatest family, if not the greatest winter family sport there is to do together. And so we're really encouraging the entire family group to come out by giving the kids a discount. And that program now is 25 years old, and it's still going strong across the country.
Mm-hmm. And before I wrap up, I want to ask you, what according to you are the places that Canadians should visit for skiing in Canada?
Oh, that might be showing some favoritism. I think I think the first place to visit when you're on that interest in skiing is go to the closest resort to you. In Toronto, in Calgary, Vancouver, Montreal, Quebec City, there are a myriad of slightly smaller resorts that offer a great family experience for not a lot of money. The next thing is go to a slightly larger resort. I happen to be very close here to Blue Mountain, Ontario, one of the larger ski areas in Canada in terms of visitation. They're a great experience too, because they bring that travel tour, dare I say, glamour into the sport. And then honestly, visit one of our mountain resorts, whether it's in Quebec, whether it's in Alberta or British Columbia. It's some of the most stunning scenery that you're ever going to see. And I think that's what's really interesting about participating in snow sports is we get to do our sport, whether you're a Nordic skier, a snowboarder, or an alpine skier, we get to do it in these incredible locations. I've been fortunate over my 30 plus years in the industry to ski in very many places around the world. There is nothing like standing on the top of a mountain, looking out at mountain peaks and white snow. It's just something quintessentially Canadian that doesn't happen in many other sports.
Mm-hmm. So like anybody who has no experience in skiing, they can do this sport, right?
Absolutely. A couple things have happened there. I think our methods of instruction have improved from the stories of 40 years ago, and our equipment has improved. So no longer we call them shape skis, or there have been many names over the last little while, but these are just like golf, just like tennis. There's been emphasis on making the equipment easier to use, and I think ski manufacturers and snowboard manufacturers have done their best to make the sport very easy to learn and easy to get into.
And it is this perception, people think that this sport requires equipment and like it's very expensive. So is it true?
I think it is a bit more expensive than simply running down to the local track and running around. But ultimately, I think there are ways to save on skiing and snowboarding. Certainly the seasonal rentals I mentioned earlier, so you don't need to own equipment. Once we get out of COVID, you probably won't need to own things like appropriate winter skiing attire, because many skiers now rent the clean the ski wear. They've stopped that during COVID, but so you can stay warm on the slopes. Lift tickets and lessons often are coming at discounts for non-peak times. That's one thing that's changed in our industry. We've noted a lot more intelligence when it comes to how one prices their products. And so I think there are ways to inexpensively, safely, and enjoyably. And in no way, shape, or form is it an extreme activity. We've fallen into that trap of skiing being something where one throws oneself off of a mountain cliff. That's not so. Most of skiing is very much about a pleasurable experience, sliding on groomed runs in control with your friends and family.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Mr. Pinchbeck, for talking to us and sharing your insight. And I'm sure a lot of people will now get into this sport. People who were scared earlier, now they'll be more interested.
Honestly, thank you for having me. And I do hope more people get into the sport. I think Canada has changed remarkably. The face of skiing is changing, the face of snowboarding, and come on up to the hills. I'd love to see you up there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Bidding wars in real estate are on rise, especially in GTA. This week, I caught up with realtor Praveen Arora to understand more about bidding wars and how they impact property rates. Take a listen. Hello everyone, you're watching Voice News Network, and today I am with our in-house real estate agent, Mr. Praveen Arora. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Pragya. Thanks for having me over.
So, Mr. Praveen, today I want to talk about the bidding wars because, when I go out, I see all these boards which says like sold over asking price, and there is so much talk even on social media about bidding wars. And according to me, it is still not a transparent thing when it comes to real estate in Canada. So, tell me something about it. What is a bidding war?
First of all, Pragya, thank you very much. It's a very, I would say, good question, because right now in today's market, a lot of bidding wars, or we call it multiple offer scenario, that is happening. And let me just give the background. What is the multiple offer scenario? multiple offer scenario is where you get more than one offer on any property at a point of time. So in the past, what was happening, it was happening occasionally, sometime, let's say if property is very good and the price point is very attractive, so we were getting more than one offer on that property. But now in today's market, what is happening, because due to low inventory, all the sellers, they know that they can get the benefit of this situation. So they are knowingly putting price bit more aggressive. So multiple people coming to see the property and they are putting offers on that property. And when they have more than one offer on any listing or any property, that's what we call multiple offers or bidding war.
Community, automotive, Bollywood and real estate. Stay up to date with what's happening here and back home. Plug into opportunities and trends that can change your life. The Weekly Voice, Canadian leader in South Asian news. Get your paper edition or read online at weeklyvoice.com.
And I went onto your website, teamarora.com, and I saw that, you work with multiple listings, right? So how a listing agent works with the bidding?
Listing agent plays a very important part in that too, because we do a lot of listings too, and primarily our business is on the listing side. Major portion of business, I would say, is on the listing side. So when we list any property, they suggest according to the market conditions, if we put the price bit more aggressive, the chances are the seller will get a higher price. Because sometimes what happens, let's say we put a property on sale and we give them, there is another scenario before bidding war, we call it preemptive offer. Preemptive offer, people blindly give the offer on that property. Let's say we listed a property for $1 million and somebody gave us a bully offer, for 1.3 million or 1.35 million. So seller even does not expect that price, and sometimes they take that offer or sometimes they take the chance to go to the offer presentation. So listing agent plays very important part in this too, putting this strategy together. So they price the property very aggressively and then they hold the offers for some days, let's say 3-4 days or sometimes a week, and then they are able to get the highest price on that property when they are presenting, because people have this kind of thought process, if I will lose this property. So sometimes unknowingly they put quite high price on the properties.
And this is something I feel, and please correct me if I'm wrong, does these bidding wars, they help in making a house price go up? Like the selling prices are like literally on fire right now, especially in GDA. So do you think these bidding wars are contributing into that?
I would say, Pragya, the main reason why the prices are going up, because we had a discussion in the last episode as well, is low inventory. Supply and demand is the main factor for the prices. Yes, definitely this multiple offer scenario and bidding war is also one of the factors, that's why the prices are going up. But the major factor is supply and demand, but this is also one of the factors, because the prices are going up, because sometimes the buyers, due to low inventory, sometimes they have a fear in their mind. They don't want to lose that property. Let's say if the other offer is at 1.2 million, but sometimes some buyer, they put 1.25. Even $50,000 more than the other offer to just get that property. So there is some sort of participation from this scenario also in the price rate.
Yeah, and earlier you mentioned too, like, nowadays if someone comes and, ask for viewing, and then after, like next day if they want to come again, you don't have the appointment for them because the property probably is already gone.
Sometimes it's already gone, and sometimes they have, because due to the COVID, most of the sellers, they don't allow more than one family in a property at a certain point of time. So we are sometimes giving 15 minutes window or half an hour window. So if we don't have any other spot, so they are not able to get the second showing. So that's why that is the other case. So they have to take a chance. And when they are taking a chance, sometimes they lose, sometimes they win.
Yeah. And I want to get back towards the transparency thing that I was talking about initially. I think the option of auction will definitely make this bidding war little bit transparent for the consumers in Canada. What do you think?
Transparency is not the issue. It's not like that anybody is lying anything to any buyer or any other cooperating agent. The only thing is this, let's put this way, if we put one property in the market and we have 6 offers on that property, listing agent will definitely confirm all the people that we have total 6 offers. And the only thing is this, which is not shared with all the other buyers, that what is the highest price of the property. And sometimes due to fear of losing the property, buyers give quite bit higher price, even beyond their limit, and even sometimes sellers get the price, they were not even expecting that price for the property. So transparency, I don't think so is the issue here. Yes, fear of losing, people sometimes pay higher price just due to that fear.
Also, I think lack of knowledge too.
Lack of knowledge, I don't think so that is the main issue, but fear is the main issue here, because they know that if they lose this property, next time they may not get even the similar property, or if they will get it, they may need to put even higher price for that one. And sometimes some buyers, they want to move in that particular area and inventory is low, they don't know when is the next time property will be coming in that neighborhood. So fear is the main factor here, that is pushing them to pay the higher price.
And what do you think the government should do in order to make things more, like, again, I'll say transparent for the consumers?
Government also took few steps in the last few years. Before this, we didn't have a Form 801 which we are using nowadays. So all the offers now that is coming with the Form 801, if any one of the buyer or the agent asks us, how many offers you have, so we have to tell them how many offers we have. And even if they ask the proof, we need to provide them the proof, not the price and the other conditions of the offer, but definitely we will confirm them, there is that many offers on that property. Not only us, all the listing agents, they do the same thing. They follow the real estate council's guidelines. What are the guidelines on that one? The government, I think the only thing what they can do, how they can increase the supply. To increase the supply, that is another big factor. There are multiple reasons to increase the supply. I think without increasing the supply may not be any other option. Yes, I do agree with you. In Australia, there is a open auctions, in Australia. Over there, you go on the property and you can bid the price and then you take the property. Here, sometimes, let's say the other offer is 1.3 million and the buyer who end up getting that property, he is paying maybe $30,000-$40,000 more than that. But if there is a open auction, he may pay even $5,000 or $10,000 just to get that property. That is possible.
So before I wrap up, I want to ask, like, what would be your advice to an average buyer or seller who is in the middle of this bidding war?
See, in this market, definitely sellers are getting the advantage of the market conditions because inventory is low, and for the buyers, those buyers are selling and buying in the market. This market is not affecting that much to those people because they are buying in the same market, they are selling in the same market. If they are buying in the bidding war, they are also selling in the bidding war. The only challenge is, especially for the first time buyers, they are the one, those are having the most difficult time in this market scenario. I think if government puts some sort of programs together, especially for the first time buyers, sometimes we think, let us put this way, if there is any development coming up, the new development, if they can say in that development they will give 50% properties to only those buyers, those are the first time buyers. So maybe those kind of things will help them to secure the properties because they are the one, they are facing the most challenge in the market right now.
Exactly. And I think you've answered all my questions, but still I would like to tell our viewers that if there are other things that you want to know, you can visit to Mr. Praveen Arora's website, which is called teamarora.com. You can see the website name below or your screen. Well, thank you, Mr. Praveen, for coming here and sharing your wonderful insight on the current situation of the real estate market in GTA. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pragya. But I will also like to share one more thing with all my viewers. If you have any question, especially with the multiple offer or the bidding war, or if you are the first time buyer, you are not able to secure the property, right? Or if you want to get some advice or some information on that one, there is no obligation. You can call us anytime. Our screen, on the screen, we have our website and our number is over there. You can book an online appointment with us. One thing I can assure, Pragya, to all the viewers, because our information and advice will definitely help them to make a well-informed decision.
Yeah, I'm sure about it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The Urgent Care Center at Peel Memorial for Integrated Health and Wellness will soon reopen to the public after temporarily closing in April 2020 to respond to the urgent demands of the pandemic. William Osler Health Systems Dr. Jacklyn Herman talks more about the opening of the Urgent Care Center. Listen in.
So first of all, Dr. Herman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So the Urgent Care Center at Peel Memorial for Integrated Health and Wellness will reopen to the public after it temporarily got closed in April 2020 to respond to the urgent demands of the pandemic. So tell us more about it.
Yes, of course. So obviously at Osler, delivering safe, high quality care is our top priority. So as I'm sure you know, the communities served by Osler were among the hardest hit by COVID in the province. So during the height of wave 3, we actually saw more COVID positive patients than any other hospital in the province, which caused quite significant capacity strain on our hospitals. So Osler had implemented a number of initiatives to support capacity relief during the height of the pandemic, which included temporarily closing our UCC, or our Urgent Care Center, and also temporarily reducing our surgical services. So as you mentioned, the UCC did close in April 2020 in order for Osler to react to the urgent demands of the pandemic. So in addition, our volumes at that time had dropped dramatically at the UCC. So this allowed us to better shift the resources to meet the needs of the community to our hospitals. So then from September 2020 to April 2021, we operated the space as the COVID cough and flu clinic. And in this space, we were able to test, see, and treat patients who had cough, cold, flu, and COVID-like symptoms. So then again, during wave 3 with the capacity strains, we did close the UCC to once again shift our resources where they were most needed for the community. So now that the COVID hospitalizations and ICU rates have declined at Osler and in the province as well, we're now in a position to reopen our UCC, which, as you mentioned, we are very excited to announce will happen on Monday, December 6th. So as of Monday, our operating hours are 1 to 7:30, and that will be 7 days a week. And then come January 10th, 2020, we will be back to our pre-pandemic hours of 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week.
Weekly Voice, leader in South Asian news.
So is it different from the virtual urgent care center?
Yes. So the virtual urgent care center is a platform whereby patients can make their own appointments for issues that can wait up to a few hours to see a physician, and then they are then assessed online for these issues. So the UCC will be functioning as it did pre-pandemic, where patients will come to be assessed by our emergency trained physicians and staff. And our UCC is most appropriate for non-life-threatening and non-serious illnesses and injuries. So for sprains, strains, for broken bones, for coughs, colds, fevers in children 3 months and older, for allergic reactions, rashes, and ear, nose, and throat type issues.
So as you mentioned, people with these kind of conditions that you mentioned, only those kind of patients can use the UCC? So or are there any other conditions that can be treated at the urgent care center?
Of course. So basically any non-life-threatening, serious 911 type issue can present to the UCC, where we are more than capable of assessing these patients.
And talking further about the UCC, what about the appointments? How does the urgent care service work? How can people book the appointments?
So there's no need to book an appointment for our UCC. Similar to our emergency room, patients will come, they will triage, they will register, and they will then be assessed by one of our emergency physicians.
And what can someone expect to happen during their visit to the UCC?
So during your visit to the UCC, very similar to a visit to one of Osler's emergency rooms, you will first come where you will be assessed by one of our triage nurses,
Mhm.
and you have your chart made. You will be brought inside and you will be seen by one of our emerge physicians, depending on what the issue is and what treatments you require. We have full access to diagnostic imaging, to labs. So we will fully assess and treat the patients. Obviously, those patients who are more sick and require hospitalization will be transferred to one of our 2 hospital sites.
And will there be some interpreters available during their checkup if someone needs one?
So Osler does use an online interpreter service as well. We're usually quite fortunate in that many of our staff are able to translate for us, but we do have full access to an online translator service in real time.
Okay, and any other detail that you would like to share with us regarding UCC?
So I think it's just very important for people to know that as our volumes in the emergency rooms have returned to pre-pandemic level and probably will be steadily climbing throughout the holiday season, the UCC will definitely serve the need of the community in order to provide access to timely care. We would really encourage anyone who has these less life-threatening and serious conditions to utilize our UCC in order to be assessed by an emergency physician.
Mm-hmm. And doctor, as a physician, what tips you would like to give to people during this holiday season so that they can remain safe? And because the pandemic is very much here.
Of course. So, I mean, there's definitely many different things that we can do and know going into the holiday season and during the pandemic. So in terms of access to healthcare, knowing your family doctor or pediatrician's holiday hours and the hours of your COVID testing center is important. So obviously schedule any needed medical appointments before the holidays. And for those who have pre-existing medical issues that require ongoing treatment, discuss your care plan with your healthcare team so that you know how to access them and who you can reach over the holiday season that may be providing support. So obviously now more than ever, it's very important for us all to get our flu shot and ensure that your children's immunizations are up to date. As we all know, the flu and COVID have many similar symptoms that make them very hard to distinguish between the two. So by getting our flu shot, we can help to lower the rate of flu in our community and lower the rate of complications that may result in hospitalizations and a burden on our healthcare system. Mm-hmm. So other little tips like refill all your medication and medical supplies for you and your family going into the holiday season. And obviously it goes without saying that it's more important now than ever for us all to work together to keep each other safe. So following the public health guidelines in terms of wearing our masks, washing our hands, and keeping a safe physical distance definitely can help us all to stop the spread of COVID.
Yes, for sure. Thank you, Dr. Herman, for your valuable time. And I'm sure this information will help people in the community who are looking for urgent medical care.
Thank you so much. And we're very much looking forward to serving the community again starting this Monday. Thank you.
Thank you.
This week, the major story coming from the business sector is actually a good news. Canada added 154,000 jobs last month, pushing the jobless rate down to a pandemic low of 6%. According to the recent report by Statistics Canada, the jobless rate fell by 0.7% to 6%. That's the lowest jobless rate since the pandemic began. The data agency calculates that more than 19.3 million people in Canada had a job last month. That is 183,000 more than one had pre-pandemic. This week in entertainment, the Duchess of Sussex wins the latest stage in a privacy lawsuit against a British newspaper when 3 senior judges ruled its publisher breached her privacy by reproducing parts of a letter she wrote to her estranged father. The Duchess, formerly known as American actress Meghan Markle, hails the judgment and says that the Court of Appeal ruling was a victory of right versus wrong. She issued a call to reshape the tabloid industry that has long been the bane of both celebrities and British royals. Print, digital, radio, and video. You choose the media. We are the Voice Media Group. This week in our discussion segment, Voice Editor-in-Chief Bala Menon and Ambassador Praveen Verma expressed their viewpoints on the recent speech from the throne and the rise, fall and flux in petroleum prices. Listen in.
Hi, welcome to VNN, and this is our another episode of our discussion series. And welcome to VNN, Praveen.
Thank you, Bala. And this is our first meeting in the winters with the first major snow in this city.
It's been a chilly morning today. With its temperature is about -7 with the wind chill. The only good news is that gas prices have come down by about 11 cents. That makes it about $101.32 per liter, which makes it cheaper than India.
Yeah, India, the prices are quite high, and the cost of living is much at a different level. So the petrol prices would actually be costing there about 5 or 6 times in real terms.
Yeah, but I mean, although there has been a lot of crude oil has been downloaded by the Indian government. I think about 5 million barrels released into the market. And
that is actually one day strategic reserve.
Okay, that's it. And then the US released some $50 million, but I don't think there's, I don't know if it'll affect the market that much.
It did temporarily.
But
as a matter of fact, the day the announcement came in, when USA, India, China and Japan offered to release some of the strategic reserves, then the prices went up. And people said that why you released this amount, but still the prices have gone up. But then the explanation was that it takes about around a week for the oil actually to flow out. And it really coincides with this moment when the prices have come down, and it's a very small amount. So the prices will come up very soon.
And during all this time, Canadian oil is still lying under the ground. I mean, we have no way to take it out, and there's now a war against Canadian oil. I mean, the other day, David Suzuki was saying we should blow up the pipelines in Canada. He was talking like a terrorist. I mean,
that's international politics and the game of economics played between different countries, and different excuses made for doing different things.
And of course, coming to that now, coming to this the throne speech where Prime Minister Trudeau spoke on the throne speech delivered by the Governor General, and he did not mention anything about the crude oil prices, or of course he kept on talking about climate change. It seems that has now become the favorite topic of the Prime Minister and the Liberal Party.
Yes, that is the front piece of the Trudeau government, climate change at the moment, because Canadians apparently are doing a lot towards that end. But then talking about the throne speech, when it was a usual speech which happens and does not evoke much of interest because there is no critical juncture in the country.
Right.
And at this moment, all the three parties don't want any mishap to happen. So it is a very conciliatory throne speech which covers everything.
I have a feeling,
aspirations and requests and demands of what any Canadian would want or any political party would want. Nobody wants an election so quickly, so people have sort of accepted it in a very easy manner. The only thing was that the optics were different. This was the first
speech of this new Governor General.
First Governor General who was from the
indigenous communities,
and when she was speaking, she spoke some sentences in her language also. And there were some rituals also, the drum beating was also there, which made a different optics, and it spoke more about truth and reconciliation.
I think which
could be considered the main theme of that.
Of the throne speech, right? You're right. And of course, that is the main theme. There's nothing else.
Everything else is bogged down now by the floods in BC, and now the new.
There is a diverted attention from everything else.
New virus. That is again another thing which is troubling everybody all over the world.
In Canada, of course, the other parties are not. They don't want an election, and they are all now biding their time for the next election because letters have already been sent by the Conservative Party asking for donations for the next election. So they're all getting ready again, isn't it? Maybe sometime after 18 months, 2 years.
Everybody has to be ready. Because anything can happen, and with Trudeau asking for a snap election this time so quickly.
They don't know when the next one will come in.
Although I don't think elections should be happening very soon, because funds have to be collected, people have to prepare their platforms, and if it does happen, my apprehension is it will bring in the same results.
Yep.
Because conservative government has not put its house together properly. It has to do all that thing. The main problem of the vaccinations of their MPPs.
Yeah,
MPs,
that was the main topic actually. That is
topic. And then with the COVID thing persisting, and dose being handed out by the government still continuing.
And the arrival of the new variant, the Omicron.
Keep on gaining the advantage of handling this virus.
That's true.
The effects of the virus. And after effects will be felt by the next government, whoever comes in. So I think it will be prudent on part of the conservatives also to wait for some time.
I think about 7 or 8 countries have already banned all international flights. I think Canada has banned flights from African countries, although some African countries are saying that it is racism.
You see, I'll tell you, when banning flights is or this virus control is being handled by the world like climate change.
Right.
In the sense that you are blocking things, rich countries are doing their things, but there are huge gaps in the developing and the underdeveloping countries where there is nothing happening.
No vaccination.
No vaccination. And most of the rich countries have been defaulting on their COVAX commitments.
Yeah.
Canada is one of the bigger ones on those. So unless and until you keep on, not only vaccines, the transfer of vaccines, you have to give them the technology. You have to give them the know-how.
Which they don't want to, which the companies don't want to.
Companies don't want to. The, what you call the intellectual property rights, these things have to be transferred so that you can block the promotion of or development of these viruses in this country. It's like climate change. You keep on blocking them, but what about the developing countries? I mean, they will do to the extent that they can manage, only to the extent that their economy keeps on floating. The biggest polluters even today are the big countries.
Yeah, and in the middle of all this, pharmaceutical companies are raking in billions of dollars every quarter. So, and where does this end? There'll be more and more booster shots coming in every 3 months, every 6 months.
They will keep on doing it, but the main point of transferring vaccines to this country, you see, the first time this virus was announced, Fauci at the same time said that we haven't found any incident in USA or in other developed countries, but I'm sure they are here.
Right.
Today we have already found in Canada. USA is still to be found, but it will be found. It has been found in Belgium and other developed Hong Kong countries where there should have been protection. But then once it develops, it will develop in countries like Southern Africa, as they call it. And then it spreads. And when it spreads, you can plug holes here and there, but it's a flow.
Not on the full thing, right.
And most of these vaccines are most of these viruses are highly contagious. They multiply very fast, but they are undetectable. They are mostly.
Although scientists do say that this variant is highly transmissible, contagious, but it is not as dangerous as the Delta variant.
That they said about Delta virus.
But that's why the deaths are, I think, fewer.
That's because.
I think doctors know how to treat the symptoms too now.
No, the biggest reason is that people are vaccinated.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
The vaccination has been done. It's not like the first wave.
Community, automotive, Bollywood and real estate. Stay up to date with what's happening here and back home. Plug into opportunities and trends that can change your life. The Weekly Voice, Canadian leader in South Asian news. Get your paper edition or read online at weeklyvoice.com.
When people were unvaccinated and were hit by it.
And doctors don't know what to do with it.
Now doctors know what to do, and they've got medicines preventive. And then again, another thing, because of the vaccination, most of these are either asymptomatic or mild in nature. So those which are detected even are sort of taken care of, and quarantine measures take care of it.
So what's happening to India? Yesterday, I think about 12 parliamentarians were thrown out of the upper house because of for indiscipline and bad behavior. They were attacking the marshals, they were throwing papers, they were insulting the chair, the speaker. And why does this happen? It's such loss of decorum, no decorum, it's not parliamentary at all in the parliament.
We have seen this in many other countries happening also. It's a sort of lack of discipline and parliamentarians taking things.
I think that, many of them are sort of uncultured parliamentarians. I think they are all criminal. Many of them have criminal cases.
And because again, coming from the background and you see, first of all, having a case against you, a criminal case against you, is not a disqualification.
Yeah, that is the thing.
There's a large percentage of parliamentarians who have criminal cases against them.
But if you're convicted, I think
that doesn't mean that they should misbehave in the parliament. Parliamentary decorum is something different.
Yeah.
But it has been happening there. It has been happening in many other developed countries, and it has been happening in even worse forms. At least now in India, you see that they cut it off at an earlier stage.
At least now the speaker is suspending them. I think that's a good thing. I think more and more should be, they want to behave like this, throw them out. Bills can still be passed.
Suspending them, then fine. Then people will start behaving also.
I don't know if they'll start behaving because yesterday it was women MPs from all the opposition parties were attacking the marshals. It's so ridiculous.
Well, the speaker has to handle that, the class monitor.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see what happens now. And then the farm laws have been repealed, although the farmers are still on strike. They said they will not go back. So we'll have to see how that develops now over the next 2 or 3 months.
In the last discussion that what will happen, they'll come up with additional
demands.
Minimum reserve price has
there won't be an end to it.
But then that is not getting any traction. That you would have seen. It is not getting any traction. Because there are other things in play. The most important thing which is being played up in India at this moment in time is the unification, the opposition unity.
Yeah, which won't happen. It'll go all directions anyway.
Congress wants the leadership and nobody is willing to.
Nobody wants them. Anyway, thanks a lot, Praveen. I think we'll meet again for the next episode of our discussion series. Yes, until then, bye. Goodbye.
And that's a wrap on this week's show. We would love to hear your thoughts on the show, so type in the comment section and tell us what you think. You can follow us on our social media handles, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe us so that you can get all the updates from our channel. Till then, take care, be safe, and thanks for watching.